All right, good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Aruch Yomi, the third installment of this daily shir we've been doing. Today we delve into Hanhaga's Beis Hakisei, how you're supposed to act in the bathroom. When you go to the bathroom, there are halachas, believe it or not. Sorry about the noise in the background, there's really no place to do it. Bear with me. Um, Anyway, there's halachas about Beis Hakisei, about going to the bathroom. We're going to learn about them. There's actually 17 halachas today. It's a lot, but we could do it. Let's start with halacha aleph. Kishanas Beis Hakisei Yomer Hiskabdum Mischubadim. Shulchan Aruch says when you get to the bathroom, you should tell the malachim that are accompanying you. Everyone has two malachim. We know from Shabbos. When you go home from shul, you have two malachim with you. During the week also, you have two malachim with you, but the malachim don't come into the bathroom. You're supposed to say the malachim who are very kadosh should stay outside the bathroom. Achshav l'nagu la'omro. Nowadays, we don't say this anymore. This is the psak halacha because we're not so sure that we're holy enough to have two malachim with us. Halacha beis yehei asanua bebeis hakisei. You should be very asanua, very modest in the beis hakisei. In what aspect? There's a lot of aspects. First of all, leigala atzma sheyeshev. It's very important that you don't. So basically, what we're saying over here is that you shouldn't uncover yourself. You're not allowed to uncover your body naked. We learned yesterday that even in your room, you're not supposed to leave any of your skin uncovered. Your body, you shouldn't be without a shirt. I do want to preface yesterday's shir. If you listened to yesterday's shir, it sounded like I was questioning a lot of the halachas, the basis of the halachas, saying that the halachas were not really, or most of them were midos chasidus, and they don't really apply to a regular person. Again, I reiterate my disclaimer from the first year. Again, the Shulchan Aruch is authoritative. As a practicing Jew, we believe in the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah for the Ashkenazim, when the Ramah does offer a different opinion, and sometimes we paskin like the Mishnah Berurah, the Posek Achar. These things are authoritative. Again, I'm not a rabbi, so I can't give you a definitive psak halacha. What I can tell you is where the Shulchan Aruch is coming from. So if the Shulchan Aruch says something like a halacha that really only applies to Yarei Shamayim, things like you shouldn't bury your chest inside your room, which we see from the Gemara, really only applies to a big Talmud Chacham, not necessarily to everybody. The Shulchan Aruch seems to imply that it's an Isser. Really, I think you should ask your rabbi what you should do in that case. I'm just uncovering the truth for you. If you don't ask a rabbi, I think you should be bound by the Shulchan Aruch, but you're free to ask a rabbi and challenge him like I'm challenging the Shulchan Aruch a little bit. I am challenging it. I'm bringing you the source to explain it and wondering aloud why it's brought down B'Torah Isser for everybody. And for a minute, Chasidus becomes a halacha. A lot of the Shulchan Aruch, especially Orach Chaim, is like that. So really, you should consult your rabbi and ask him. Shouldn't rely on me. Again, what you do is your choice. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But I believe that the halacha is halacha. That's the way we keep the Torah. So if the Shulchan Aruch says something, even though I'm wondering aloud why it applies to everybody, may ask a rabbi and try to find out why. But I am just giving you clues as to it's not so pashut, not so simple what the Shulchan Aruch says. All right. So one of the things he says that you shouldn't uncover your skin in the Beis Hakisei in the bathroom. So just like in your room, you also can't do it in the bathroom. We're going to see there's a certain amount of you're allowed to pull your pants down when you go to the bathroom. The Gemara also says you shouldn't go two people into the bathroom at the same time when you're going to the bathroom, not when you're not going to the bathroom. No issue if you're going to take water from the sink, or you're going to look at someone's bathroom. There's no issue for two people to, or three people, or four people going to a bathroom to look, wow, it's a fancy bathroom. When you're going to the bathroom, it's not sanua to see someone else see you go to the bathroom. Gam, the Ramah says, Lo yidaber sham v'yiskar adelas ba'adam shem snias. You shouldn't talk there. You're not allowed to talk in the bathroom. Now, this is midin snias, right? Snias is modesty. It's a midah. We're not mitzuva on midos, and I believe the Shulchan Aruch agrees with that. We're not obligated to do our midos. Midos is a lifelong mission that we slowly work on the midos and perfect them. And when you perfected a midah, you don't necessarily have to stick to the chumras that you did to get there. So you yidaber sham, this is a midah, you shouldn't talk in the bathroom, but poskim do bring that while you're actually going to the bathroom, while the urine is coming out, or you're going from the bath in the back, it's coming out. That may be usher to do it. They bring over here, the Dirshu brings either because of shadim or uh, demons will visit you if you do something like that. It's very disgusting to do that. Or it's just mishum tznius, it's immodest. The Mishnah Berurah is very machmir. The Mishnah Berurah says you really can't be makel at all in these cases. Again, even if mishum shedim or mishum sakana, what do we mean? It's sakana of shedim or mishum tznius for sure, for modesty. I would ask a rabbi if really this really applies, because technically there's nowhere in Chazal that is aser. When you go to the bathroom, when I see this talking about only when you're going and defecating, going from the back, then you have to close the door. But people that go into stalls and they don't close the door behind them, technically you can even go in the forest if you're just urinating. Halacha Gimel. Imrotza lemashmesh fiat tabaz b'sor b'kisem l'ftoch nekavav imashmesh kodim sheyeshev l'imashmesh achar sheyeshev and they shikasha l'kshafim. Some people, it's hard for them to go to the bathroom. They have to open up the anal hole. So they put their a match or they put their Orach. You shouldn't do that while you're standing. You should do it when you're sitting, because again, this is an eitzah. I believe it's not really a halacha. It's bad for. It might be bad for sorcery. Sorcerers do things like that when they're standing up. So we said you're not supposed to expose yourself. How much are you not supposed to expose yourself? So for a man, when he's going to the bathroom, all you have to do is pull your pants down a tefach. That opens up the anal hole, so you have to go to the bathroom. And when you go from the front, you're sitting down from the front. So a man obviously has to pull down his pants more from the front because he has to uncover a whole area over there so the urine doesn't go on his pants. A woman, again, in the back should be the same as a man. She's allowed to pull down her skirt, a tefach. But from the front, she shouldn't expose herself at all, because technically a woman can go to the bathroom as long as she's exposed from the back. The urine drips down from her. It doesn't shoot out like a man, and therefore it will just drip into the toilet, and it won't be a problem even if she doesn't expose herself at all. I will mention one fact, a personal antidote that I did ask. I asked my Rosh Yeshiva, Yaakov Freeman. I asked him this question about pulling your pants all the way down. All right, because it's a halacha when what ones are you wearing? Let's say you're wearing a long coat or something like that, or you're wearing a nightgown or something like that. And he sort of laughed, almost like this halacha doesn't really apply. That's why I got the impression halacha really doesn't apply. You can pull your pants all the way down. Again, I asked your rabbi, hey, im nifne makom magula she'emo mechitzos yichavin shenupanav l'darom v'acharav l'tzafon. If you go to the bathroom, now we're not talking about in your house or in a regular place that closed off walls. If you're going in the field, which is kind of weird why you're going in the field. Some places you go here in Israel, you go on these hikes, there's no place, there's no porta potties, nothing to do. So you should make sure that you should face, you should be sitting north-south, not east-west. Because if you're facing east-west, you're facing towards the Beis HaMikdash, and even depends whatever side in the world you are from the Beis HaMikdash. The opposite side also has kedusha. This is only talking when you're defecating, because that is a lack of respect to the Beis HaMikdash. Aval b'mizrach l'ma'arav aser. Again, do east or west is us. You should do it north or south. The Ramah says when you're just urinating, then it doesn't make a difference. You can do it east-west. I will note that the Gemara really is talking about someone. It differentiates where you are. It's talking about if you're in Yehuda, which is right next to the Beis HaMikdash, so you shouldn't do it Mizrach Lamara. But if you're in the Galil or in the northern part, then it would be no problem to do it Mizrach Lamara. It actually recommends doing Mizrach Lamara, but not Safon Adarim, because then you'd be facing the Beis HaMikdash. I guess that would only apply in Eretz Yisrael. Outside Eretz Yisrael, just like Yudaven, we regard Yudaven, the Mizrach, so Mizrach and Marav are the main things. When your wife is with you, you're not even allowed to sleep, not even be together, but even sleep with her, your bed should be faced. Even if your wife is not with you, you should put your bed north and south, not east and west, because you put it east and west, then it's going to come when you're together with your wife, and that's sort of a animalistic act when you're with your wife. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just it's not proper kavod to the Beis Hamikdash to be facing in that way when you're doing that. Someone who's single, I don't know if this applies. You have to really ask rabbi. Again, it's lahat ligzar, not only zar. Again, it's a chumrah. This is clear. It's only a chumrah when your wife is not with you, and certainly if you're not married, it's only a chumrah. Hamatel mayim and asofim levnim zayin. Someone who urinates, let's say you get very close to the base of the Hamikdash, hard sofim, you're able to see the base of the Hamikdash. It's only a place that's visible, the kosel, the harabayis, dome of the rock. Lo yeshiv upanav klape kodesh. You shouldn't sit and you're directly facing the base of the Hamikdash. It's not about even urinating. This is talking about you even urinating. You're urinating, and you can't. It's only directly facing the base image. But if you turn your back to it, then it would be okay. I think this is what the Mishnah Berurah says. Okay, or you could do it diagonally. You turn to the side a little bit. That would be okay. Also, the Shulchan says, when you're going to the bathroom in the field. So now you don't want people to see you. There's halacha sneus. Again, these are modesty. I don't know if these are actual halacha. These are midos. These are character traits, not necessarily chiyuvim. Again, ask your rabbi. I'm going to stop saying. Ask your rabbi. You know when I'm saying that it's not a pasha halacha. It's not clear what the halacha is. You should probably ask your rabbi if it bothers you. If not, I can't tell you what to do. When he's in the field, right, where it's an exposed place. Again, we said he's in a bathroom in a house. None of these halachas apply. All these halachas apply about east and west. Only apply when you're in a field. If you're in a house, it doesn't look like you're desecrating the Beis Hamikdash. So if you're another halacha when you're in public, so you should defecate right behind the fence so no one can see you. If you can't get directly behind the fence, he's able to see you, get far enough away from the person that he can't see the actual defecation. He can see you, he just can't see the defecation. Again, these are midos. Tet lo yeshev mehira v'chozek v'lo yanos lidchul atzmo yoter midayish l'ninatek shinek arkashta. You shouldn't go to the bathroom. When you go into the bathroom, you shouldn't run very fast to go in there. And you shouldn't sit down very hard. And you also shouldn't force yourself to go. A lot of people have this problem. They have constipation. They force themselves to go. It's not a good idea because it's maybe a sakana is going to bring yourself to rip the teeth of the anus over there. You have some like teeth-like skin. Not a good idea. You don't want to ruin that area over there. This is halacha brought down in the Gemara. The Gemara says you're not supposed to wipe with your right hand. The Gemara gives a lot of reasons. Your right hand is you point to the Torah with it. Other reasons the Gemara says. The Mishnah Berurah says that if you're a lefty, then you shouldn't use your left hand. Rather, if you're a righty, you should use your left hand. If you're a righty, you should use your left hand. And the Mishnah Berurah also points out it's also a chumrah not to use when you wipe, not to use the middle finger of your left hand, because that's where you wrap your tefillin on. You shouldn't use a piece of pottery. I don't know why people use pottery, and that's all they had. Again, this is sorcerers use this. Also, you shouldn't use dry grass. Anything which is flammable, it's going to ruin the teeth of the anus. This is medical reasons. You're also not supposed to use a rock. They used to use rocks to wipe themselves, or use a tissue that someone else used. You shouldn't use that. I believe again this is a midah. This is a chumrah again. This is a chumrah. Here it's clear that it's a chumrah. When the Shulchan says it's a chumrah, it's a chumrah. You don't have to be machmir if you don't want to, because it brings a person to a low level, it brings them to poverty. Hagav the Brahmas of Akshar Beta Knisos Bati Kisos Shalanu in on Basada. They're in the houses, Naglin Becharis. Now we don't have to worry about sorcery. You could use earthenware. Tissues, very flammable. You're allowed to use them. Ain't no mazik. Nowadays it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't ruin them. You make tissues very soft. But go see what people actually do. There is a recommendation at the end. Maybe it's better to use baby wipes than to use tissues. It's supposed to put water in that area to make it softer. It's a good idea, I would think. You'd basically punted been sneers balayla kumo bayom. Again, even if you're going to the bathroom at night, again, we're talking about not in a house. Obviously, you're in a house, going to a bathroom, you close the door, there's sneers bayom balayla. We're talking about you're doing it publicly in a field, so even though no one can see you, it's very dark out with no street lamps. You only can be expose yourself from the front 2 tefachim and from the back 1 tefach. You shouldn't urinate while you're standing up because the drips. Again, you're urinating into the ground over here in the forest, let's say, which you're allowed to do. You're not a defecate in a forest, or you have to cover yourself in a forest, but to urinate, you're allowed to. So if you're doing it on dirt, you have to be careful when you're urinating. You don't want the drops to go on your shoes. Unless you're in a high place and you're going into a low place, let's say a mountain or a cliff, and you pee off the cliff. You do it into afar tichoach, which is mud or earth that's very worked in, so therefore it won't splatter on your shoes. Perish karkashin amsula gon shal eresh or charusha, plowed land, get absorbed in the ground. The reason you can't do this, the Gemara explains, is because we're worried that if people see the urine on your shoes, they'll think that you don't have the ability, just like you don't have the ability to shoot the urine far away, you don't have the ability to shoot your zera, your semen, far away. And that is the indication of someone. The Gemara says a woman whose zera is not yorek echet, doesn't shoot like an arrow, can't impregnate a woman. They're going to think his children are not his children. So therefore, if it happens to you, you're not supposed to do this. If it happens to you, urine gets in your shoes, there's a mitzvah to wipe it off. So people shouldn't come to think that your children are from another lady, meaning your children are from another man, meaning some other man was with your wife. Yudalid, Yizar Shaliachas Ba'ama V'yashtin, Halach Yudalid. This is very practical halacha. When you go to the bathroom, a man urinates, right? You're not supposed to grab onto your penis. You can't touch your penis. Imlo Matar Lamata, you are allowed to touch part of it. Right? Most poskim agree that from the crown, the corona, the top, you're not supposed to touch, but anything, the middle part, you're allowed to touch. This is talking about someone who's not married, because people are very sensitive, whether they're not married, they've never been together with a woman. It's a very sensitive area. It might come to Shechvat Zera to come out for no reason, meaning you're not doing it for being together with a woman. If you're married, so you're regular touching there, you're regular to bia, so you don't get heated up so quickly. So Shechvat Zera is not going to come out right away. So therefore, you can even touch when you're going to the bathroom. You can touch your whole penis. You can touch even the top, the crown. This is not a halacha. If you want to, chassidus, you want to be a visionist or chassid. I'm joking. Chassidus usually means that you want to be on a higher level. So then, even if you're married, you shouldn't touch the crown, the corona. Even if you're not married, you're allowed to grab onto the sack. That is not a problem. We're not worried you're going to come with this shekla zer latala. Even a married person, we said he's allowed to grab on to the corona and the entire penis. He's allowed to do that only when he's urinating. But if he's just to scratch it, he's not allowed to. Yud a mash in a cover of over mishum wal tashaktu, someone who has to go to the bathroom, he holds it in too long. The Gemara, the poskim will talk about is how much is too long. But anyway, basically, if you have to go, you're over about the shak. So most poskim say there's an isser derabanan. There's also an isser shaliyah akar. If you're holding in urine, then the poskim say, Mishnah Berurah mentions maybe you're on 2 isser, and one is that you can't make yourself an enoch, someone who can't have children, and because of the ruin we learned in Gemara Nivamos today that people sat too long in the shir, they weren't able to go to the bathroom from the front. They were able to urinate. They ruined their ability to procreate. And you're about to shaksu. Again, these things are isurim derabanan, and b'makom hatzorech kavod habrios, you're allowed to be over on them kavod habrios. So if it's hard for you or it's hard for somebody else, then maybe there's makom to be makel over this, and you'll be allowed to hold them in. Hope you enjoyed today's shir. We did it under 20 minutes. Stay tuned for Ian Shulchan Orach Yomi. We're going to talk about more of this practical halacha of touching your aver, touching your penis when you're going to the bathroom. See you there. Bye.